Welcome everybody. We're so glad to have y'all here. I think we'll give it maybe a minute or two just to let some people trickle in. Um, but while we're waiting, if everyone wants to put in what school they're from, I think that would be fun. Okay, we've got a lot of variety. Love this. Okay, perfect. I guess we will go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the APhA-ASP Finance Vice President Leadership Lab. We're so happy y'all are here. And first off, congratulations on stepping into this new role. It's very, very exciting and a very great way to lead your chapter. So first off, before we get started, we just want to do some quick introductions. So obviously, my name is Grace Thompson. I'm the Award Standing Committee Chair. The Award Standing Committee is kind of the liaison for Finance Vice Presidents. That's why we're here helping y'all. And I'm from the University of South Carolina.
Hey everyone, my name is Paige. I'm a fourth year student from the University of Florida College of Pharmacy, and I'm super excited to get to know some of y'all throughout the year.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah Pascal and I'm a fourth year student pharmacist at the University of Toledo. I'm excited to work with you guys going forward.
Hey everyone, my name is Kaylee Patillo. I'm a fourth year student pharmacist at the University of Missouri, Kansas City Springfield campus, and I'm so excited to see what all you accomplish in your role.
And then next we have our liaisons for the Award Standing Committee. First, we have Sean, who's on the call with us today, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Grace. So my name is Sean Kawa, and I'm a third-year student pharmacist from the University at Buffalo, serving as the APhA-ASP National President-elect. And with my role, I also serve as the liaison for the Award Standing Committee, and then through them also Finance VPs.
And then we also have Parth, who's our staff liaison for APHA, and he's the senior manager of student development. Okay, so now that we've done some quick introductions, just want to do an overview of responsibilities for the Finance VP, just so that everyone's on the same page. So obviously for a Finance VP, you're initially just ensuring the financial health of your chapter overall, and just making sure that your chapter starts off on a good foot and then ends on a good foot in the year. So doing that is just maintaining an accurate operating budget for your chapter so that anyone can easily follow along with that. Then next, you'll be coordinating fundraising ideas, and then also advising chapter officers on financial management. So this is a good way that you can raise money and then also kind of help save money by advising your chapter officers in different ways that they can save money and use their money wisely. And then next, you'll process any checks, invoices, or reimbursements for your chapter and just kind of keep track of those because you and your advisor will be those people that really get all those checks and invoices and have access to the bank account directly. And then lastly, you'll collect and manage chapter dues. And then as a reminder, we just want to make sure that everyone is understanding and adhering to their school's banking and financial policies because different schools of pharmacy and colleges of pharmacy have different policies that they have to follow. So if you don't personally know those policies, you can always check in with your advisor or your dean's office, your front office, anything like that to make sure that you're adhering to those policies. And then next, we'll talk about some communication strategies as far as Finance Vice President goes. So obviously communication is key when you're dealing with money. It's a very sensitive thing. You want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. So first, you'll be wanting to communicate with your advisor, president, and president-elect, and a way to do that is through monthly finance reports, which I'll elaborate on in a second. But those are basically just ways to kind of check in And you can kind of send it through an email, just a Word document kind of detailing what expenses you have, what the budget looks like, and kind of just like a crash course of all the finances. And then next is VPs and patient care chairs. So that'll look more like receipts and reimbursements for expenses that they spend, like maybe you hold a spring health fair and they buy something up front. And so you could have a system for receipts and reimbursements. You could either do like screenshots of those or a Google form, anything like that, but you just want to make sure that you have a good system set in place for communication. And then lastly, if your chapter has a finance committee, that's a really great way to use your chapter members kind of rally around and make sure that you're not handling all these expenses and finances alone. So if you do have one, you can have committee meetings regularly and kind of communicate through text or email or however y'all see fit. And then next we'll see the monthly finance report. I do just want to plug for everyone that we're working currently on a finance and other documents that we show in this will be in that Finance VP toolkit for y'all's reference. That should be coming soon to y'all, hopefully within the next couple months. So with this, as I said, it's just kind of a crash course on everything finances. So you have your checking, your savings, your third party, any outstanding transactions or reimbursements, and then kind of your budget and expenses and fundraising. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy detailed, just kind of looking at the overall picture so that everyone's on the same page and you know kind of what it looks like at that moment and at that monthly period.
Okay, so next up, we're going to go into some budgeting, which is a very important part of your role as finance VP. So first thing you're going to want to do is make sure all chapter leaders are following the budget. This includes not finance VPs, that's you guys, patient care vice presidents and any of the committees. With your budget, you want to be thorough, but you also want to make sure you're being flexible for any unexpected charges that may come up. Like Grace mentioned before, you want to make sure anything you're doing, including budgeting and expenses, align with your school policies. And then lastly, just stay organized with receipts, reimbursements, and payments. If you stay organized at the end of the year, checking to make sure everything's in order will be much easier. So going into some items you want to make sure you're including in your budget, that would be some of our amazing APHA conferences and meetings like SLI, MRM, annual meeting, and then the substance use disorder conference. You also want to make sure you're including any kind of expenses that would go into your patient counseling competition. If you have food that you provide for that, or maybe prizes, these would be things to consider. Any rental fees for any type of meetings or events you're having, leadership retreats, food for meetings, patient care projects, like we mentioned, those may vary from year to year, so always keep that in mind. And then any promotional materials like posters, flyers, if you do merch, those are all things to consider. And then just some overall budgeting tips. Looking at last year's budget is really good to help you make a basis, but things might need to be tweaked as needed. Like, let's say you're Lipscomb University. Last year, APHA annual was in your hometown. Travel expenses probably weren't that much. This year, you got to go all the way to Los Angeles, so you might need to allocate a little bit more money for that. Um, Make sure you're being as frugal as possible and then planning for any unseen costs. If you save money where you can, big urgent things that come up will be less of a big deal. And then, like we always mention, talk with your advisor and other chapter leaders. While this is primarily your responsibility, if you have questions, it's good to get everybody's opinions and advice from around the board.
Okay, so next we're going to cover sponsorships. Okay, so there's lots of events that you can consider sponsorships for. I know your chapters all have unique events that you do that you may need to reach out to sponsors for. So these are just a few ideas that we kind of came up with. Health fairs, networking events, your MRM watch party. So if you want to have food or if you want to have like fun games and stuff for that, you can consider sponsorships there. Annual conference, that's a big one that I know a lot of people are considering sponsorships for. And then just additional pharmacy advocacy events. So if your state has like a legislative day where you travel to the Capitol and advocate on behalf of pharmacy or just any other advocacy events, you can consider sponsorships for those. So when reaching out to potential sponsors, I'm going to show a template here in just a few minutes, but make sure you introduce yourself and just let them know who you represent. You also want to explain the event and why it's important to your chapter and just what impact that the event is going to have on the students or the community. You also want to describe your goals for the event. So, are you looking for a certain amount of money? Are you looking to reach a certain amount of patients? Just let your sponsor know what your goals are so that they can be more inclined to help you. And then as always, be professional and thank the sponsors for their consideration. So this is a sample email that we've come up with. And like Grace said, we're coming out with a toolkit, and this is something that we'll include in the toolkit as well. So that will be available to you guys. But this kind of just goes through what we talked on the last slide. So making sure that you're introducing yourself, letting the sponsor know who you're representing. Also list some of your goals for the event. Make sure you explain the event in detail and then thank them again for their consideration.
All right, everyone's favorite part, we're going to talk about fundraising because this is going to be kind of the backbone of how your chapter has funds for the year and can host all of the amazing events and patient care and patient outreach opportunities. So, like I said, the backbone of your chapter's financial success, depending on the setup of your College of Pharmacy, you could have just the finance VP who's in charge of all of the fundraisers, or you guys could have allocated one to a few members of fundraising chairs. And in some chapters, I know they split it if they have people that fundraise just for the ASP portion and just for the IPSF portion as well. So, whatever setup your chapter this is applicable to all of them. The first things first, we want to make sure that we are setting semester goals. So this looks different for every chapter. I know different ASP chapters have 400 members and others have 30, and that's perfectly fine. So set a goal that is realistic for you guys, for realistic for how many events you have, how many socials you have, and what your chapter you think can physically handle. So this goal, I just said 500 because it was the first number that came to my mind, but if your chapter that's not feasible for you guys, that's okay because you know what is. And we'll talk about this later in the year when you join us for car webinars. The budget, you're not docked points if you guys don't spend as much on your outreach events. You guys, we all take into account the size of the chapter and everything with it. Special considerations, Sarah and Kaylee touched a little bit. MRM is in person or virtual. The prices, were stated and that'll come out in an email later. APHA is in Los Angeles, so those on the West Coast, you guys got it a little easier this year. But it should be fun, but that is something your chapter needs to consider if you want to send your president-elect, and more individuals. And then the Institute of Substance Use Disorders in Salt Lake City, this is April of 2026. And then you want to just make sure with these fundraising ideas, you're working in conjunction with your College of Pharmacy. So some colleges of pharmacy restrict like food sales, or they say you can't do raffles, or you have to call it like a giveaway because raffling could insinuate gambling. So making sure that you're up to date with what your College of Pharmacy or your university allows for these sales, so nothing really happens. And then copyright logos, just be a little careful if you're using like your school's logo, you might have to alter it or follow those rules and regulations as well if you guys design merchandise or use any of those pictures. And then the best places to sell things that my chapter, the University of Florida, and others that I've talked to have had the most success. The first is student organization fairs. So I think a lot of us have like orientation student org fairs right at the beginning of the school year. If your College of Pharmacy allows, UFAPHA always sells merch there because it's like you get the P1s like the minute they walk in the door, they're eager. Especially if your College of Pharmacy allows you to wear like sweatshirts and t-shirts to class, like you can get them right away, or like a keychain or like magnets. And we found more success doing like University of Florida College of Pharmacy stuff versus like APHA. Like they want like the College of Pharmacy branded stuff. So if you guys can create the merch, have it ready by that orientation and sell it then if you're allowed, that could make a lot of money, especially if you sell it like at a cheap rate, or we do like one sweatshirt for 20 or two for 35. And so they can pair up with a bestie because they're probably with their friend right at the beginning because they want to pair up. So you can kind of convince more and more people to buy these sales. Next, general body meetings. We did something called like a garage sale or a yard sale, that everything that we didn't sell or leftover merch, we would just bring to GBMs that people could buy at like throughout the year. So if they missed a fundraiser, we ordered like in bulk. we could come back, bring it to the next GBM. And more people, like, especially if they see their friends wearing a sweatshirt, they're like, oh, I missed out. Be like, oh, you can get to go to the GBM and you can get it there. That way you're increasing retention at your GBMs and you're increasing sales on stuff that like you didn't calculate right off at the beginning. And then health fairs and tailgates. So if you guys do point of care testing in the a lot or in your county, or if you guys do like health events like on your campus, you can sell there as well. So kind of extending your outreach beyond like the student body. We have like a Microsoft Teams page with all of our orgs that we post our fundraisers, but kind of if you can extend that outreach, that's going to be most beneficial for your chapter as well. Also encourage like parents like it depends how your school works, but we have like University of Florida College of Pharmacy mom or dad or sister. So we sell those shirts, ASP does, and those are some of our best fundraisers too, because we drop them right at orientation, right around like the holidays, and right around our white coat ceremony at the end of the year. So all of those that like the family can buy too, those are great fundraisers that are gonna bring in a lot of flow, like money and flow to your chapter. Um, okay, yeah. So, some tips, just things that we found helpful in the past. You want to focus on low cost or high yield fundraisers. So, a lot of us are in pharmaceutical fraternities where the new member class has to have like X amount of points to be considered to be a new member. What ASP did is we worked with some of the fraternities on our campus and they were able to bring in like bags of candy for like a point in their frat and we would make candy grams. So that's like a low cost because we weren't buying the candy. All we bought was the plastic bags and the little ties and the notes. But we didn't buy any of the candy. And then we just got to resell. So it was almost like a full profit fundraiser. Garage sales, like I had said, all your old merch, just bring them to the GBMs, try to get rid of them as best you can, and try to just make that extra money that you didn't make the first go around. And then obviously we want to shop in cost-effective places and buying in bulk. So Dollar Tree if we can, trying not to buy things that are a little too expensive or outside of our price range unless it's justifiable that it would make like a difference within the fundraiser. And then another tip that's something that some finance VPs struggle with is if you're working in conjunction with another student organization on your campus, make sure there's like an agreement for how the profits are going to be split beforehand. We don't want to like get into a situation with any other student org where there's a miscommunication on how much you're either putting into the fundraiser or getting out. And just want to make sure with these collaborations, if that's something your organization chooses to do, everything's predefined beforehand, it's mutual, and everyone has accepted what's like how it's going to be distributed. And then just some ideas that we've had in the past. So, obviously, merchandise with your college logo or a landmark location on campus. So, on the University of Florida's campus, we have like what's like a tower. I don't know what it's called, but it's like an iconic place where graduation shoots happen, where it's like when you search University of Florida like on Google, that tower comes up. So we made a sweatshirt with that like with the tower because that's like UF symbolic like landmark. Even though it's not UF College of Pharmacy, it's just the University of Florida. And then we put like UF College of Pharmacy on it. Candygrams, you can do it for all the holidays. Concession stands, this is like I've seen it happen at a few colleges of pharmacy and I actually learned about it at SLI, I think like last year. If you can work in conjunction with like the vendors of like your basketball arena or like your baseball and softball stands, they will allow you to like volunteer there for X amount of the profit they make with whatever time you're there. So if that's something that like if you're university has like an athletic department, try to get in contact with your vendors because that's a really easy fundraiser that you're not buying anything. It's just like labor, and you guys can offer like an ASP point or however you guys keep track of membership and like incentivize membership. You guys can do that as a fundraiser as well. And then we do 50-50 raffles or giveaways. So kind of bouncing off what Sarah and Kaylee were talking about with sponsorships. If you reach out to like the local restaurant and they give you three $50 gift cards, you guys can like put those as part of like a prize basket and in your GBMs be like, oh, one ticket for $1. And they can just kind of like donate money to ASP with a chance to win like these like raffles and giveaways. Just be careful too with the wording because some universities, what I've heard in the past, are weird about raffles because of the gambling aspect. So it might have to just be called a giveaway. UF's really weirdly strict about it, and I know a few other colleges from my friends that I've talked to are as well, so just kind of be mindful of that. And then if you guys have any staple, fun, amazing, creative fundraisers you guys do at your College of Pharmacy, please, please, please fill out this QR code. We're gonna kind of compile a list where we just take ideas from across the country, different ASB chapters, and see what you guys can come up with to kind of build the foundation for your guys' university this year. And then this is something that was announced at the Summer Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C. It's a regional meetup. So a lot of the feedback we get is like, hey, we meet these people in Washington, D.C. We see them at MRM, but we really like don't get a chance to see each other outside of those like events and maybe APHA annual. So we're doing a regional meetup. They're both occurring at their given times just because of the time zone difference on September 22nd. And if you guys are interested, please, please, please sign up. It'll be great to reconnect with all the friends you've met in the past and reconnect with chapter leaders from your like area, like in the midpoint of the year. So it's like we're halfway with the start of this fall semester. We have about halfway to go before we hit MRM and then we start planning for annual. So it'll be a great time to reconnect with all those leaders to kind of see what's working well, what's not, and just kind of hang out and see everyone again. Then finally, the finance VP group me. So this is for chapter leaders, all the finance chairs from across the nation to kind of connect and ask each other questions and kind of stay in contact throughout the year. I think if one of us has a question, probably 10 more of us have the same question. So this is how you guys can communicate with Grace, Sarah, Kaylee, Sean, and I, and you can communicate with one another if you guys have any direct questions. So we really encourage y'all to join this, and then we'll be answering as best we can with all your questions. Okay, I will pass this off to Grace.
Okay, amazing. We did get through that kind of quickly. So first, I just want to ask the whole group if anyone has any outstanding questions. You can also type in the chat if you don't want to speak up. Okay, if no one has any outstanding questions right now, then we're going to do breakout rooms. We're just going to split up by regions 1 through 4 and regions 5 through 8. We've made the breakout rooms. Yes. So y'all can just join the breakout room that goes with your region, and then we'll kind of go through different questions and kind of brainstorm with each other. And we'll do that for the next about like 20 minutes or so.
Grace, can you go back?
Rooms. Perfect. Okay, so just to close everything out, thank you so much everyone for joining this. I feel like those breakout rooms were really, really productive and we were able to bounce off ideas off each other and kind of do that in an informal way and kind of get to know each other as well. So lastly, if anyone has any outstanding questions, feel free to ask them now, ask them in the chat. But if you don't want to, you can always reach out to us via our emails. We have them right here on this slide. They're also on pharmacist.com under National Standing Committees. We're here for y'all throughout the year. Any questions y'all have about Finance VP, budgeting, sponsorships, fundraising, anything like that. Also, just anything APHA related, we are here for y'all. We just want to emphasize that we are your liaisons. We want to help y'all in any way we can. But yeah, we'll kind of hang out here if anyone has any questions. But if you don't have any questions, y'all are free to go. Thank you so much for being here.